This NFL Divisional Playoff Picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash.
What's up, guys? This is Carson Steele. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog. Back in studio, Sean. Little smoke in the air.
Yes,
probably from the outside fire.
Still smoky here in the studio, and yes, we're back in studio. Feels great to be back. Yeah, it was just kind of laying low. Hung out in Vegas there for the weekend, a couple days, and yeah, now it seems like things getting back to normal. And yeah, let's Eagles.
What is normal anyway?
Yeah, that's it. That's a loaded question, Ryan. We got 4 NFL divisional playoff games locked and loaded. We got an awesome prop show with CJ tomorrow afternoon as well. That should be a lot of fun, talking all things, because there are a bunch of while I was doing my prep for the episodes, stumbled across a bunch of interesting prop angles as well. So a lot to get to. How we feeling, Ryan? You had a nice wild card weekend. Hats off to you.
This is now back-to-back wild card weekends where I've hit both my locks, my dog, my tease. Absolutely bonkers. You want to look at yeah, I mean, basically everything went right except for this. Look at this guy.
Look at this. 5-leg
fucking Baker Mayfield.
So yes, Ryan, even the picks that you were wrong on, you were not confident in them, and you switched to the totals.
Yeah.
You had Texans +3 cash, should have went money line. Ravens Steelers under 43.5. Broncos
what
Bills.
A sweat that 43.5 under was.
Yeah, that was crazy. Broncos Bills under 48. Eagles laying the 5, never in doubt. Even though you're trying to push the Jalen Hurts wouldn't play narrative.
What do you mean? I was just we're journalists, Sean.
Bucks laying the 3, and then Rams +2.5. Again, didn't need it.
Didn't need it. Which, by the way, you buried the lead, Sean. What? It does seem like Jalen Hurts is progressing and will be cleared from the concussion protocol this week and play. But we're going to confirm that, right?
I don't.
He played like he still had a concussion, so he needs to clear it again.
Got it.
It's concussion.
Got it, Ryan. Well, there's nothing funny about
slapstick CTE jokes.
Shout out to the chat. Chat lit. Everyone fired up. Yes, we are moving on past Bo Nix, although that was a hell of a run. No regrets. No regrets.
No regrets.
No, I mean, I got off the Bo Nix. It was a Bo Nix heat check, Ryan. I mean, Sean, could I have stayed? Could I have left the Bo Nix party? I mean, honestly, could I have got off for the playoffs? You were
studying abroad in the Philippines. You had some fun. Who am I to judge?
No, but it'd be like, it's like one of those things where if you say in blackjack, all right, this is my last hand, and you hit blackjack. Well, you're not going to play one more hand. I hit a blackjack with the predicting that the Broncos would get into the playoffs. They did, and then they fell apart. But
you saying blackjack making me remember back to a couple days ago when pretty normal session at the blackjack table turns into just an absolute I'm going home last hand heater. Couple $300 blackjacks.
It was a nice
$200 or double down and split hand.
Yeah, and we randomly a guy sat down. He's like, "Hey, what's up, SGP guys?"
So, no. He didn't just sit. He like slid in. He goes, "Sean, Ryan, amazing work with the Sims back in the pandemic."
Yeah,
and it's
I forgot we were talking about the Sims.
What an opener!
And then there was a guy who was really drunk next to us who won Circus Survivor, and the listener I think may have had a stake in one of it's kind of all a blur, but
So
I think he either had a stake in a Survivor entry that won, or a stake in Circa Million. I forget.
No, he had an entry that went out with the Colts Giants game, but was extended a credit line.
That's right.
And
so he's like,
hedge.
I got a nice. He got a nice piece, so he was feeling pretty good.
But the guy you were talking about that actually won was wasted just playing horrible blackjack, giving the money back to the casino.
Dealer is getting so pissed.
This is why Derek will give it to you in chips.
Yes.
And then the dealer was getting pissed because he was just showing everyone the picture of him with his check. Which then, by the way, later that night up at Legacy Club, we saw people. I mean, as if it was a prostitute. They're bringing it around like, who wants to take a picture with the big check?
Yeah, no, it was
meat. And shout out to the meatball guys. Yeah. I did try to squeeze some intel out of them. Like, all right, you guys just want a shitload of money. What'd you bet on this weekend? What's the big crazy bet that you all got down on? And they're like, we got a lot of shares and partners. And it's like, all right.
Yeah. So they were called the Meatball Crew because I guess they all worked for Hormel Meatpacking, and they all worked at different plants, even whatever. They were all like professional meatball makers. And then, of course, shout out to listener Chris, who he won with the Bucks, so he got a massive check.
He looked happy.
Trying to hang out with him. He walked by the VSiN studio after the awards banquet. Didn't get a sync up later, but shout out to you, Chris. And then shout out to Brian Ryan, listener, who hooked us up with the fan worn jerseys. I got my Broncos jersey, gonna hang it up in the studio somewhere. He gave you a sweet Josh Allen jersey.
Yep, wore it on the pregame show right before Josh Allen slayed Bo Nix. Sorry,
Ryan. It's
sorry,
gonna be,
not sorry.
It's gonna be tough for you to choose against. You just got a fan worn Josh Allen jersey. Do you take him, or
I do love Lamar.
You
too,
love Lamar Jackson.
Lamar, I come in and out of love with. You know, it's a fiery relationship. Which I couldn't help but get a laugh out loud full belly laugh seeing the pictures of Patrick Queen, who was very sick leading up to the Steelers Ravens game, giving Lamar a hug after the game. you got to go.
Well,
Lamar needs the full spaceman helmet. I mean, his DNA focused on athletic freak, not immune system.
Guy who's ever taken a break to take a massive shit, and people thought he was hurt.
You know the sliders in Madden, like no one ever thinks about the can this guy hold down a hot dog and is going to get COVID 15 times? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, we'll get into it, but I certainly think that, and you hate when I do this. There was a lot more thought I feel like I had to put into the games last week. Is that being arrogant or like?
Well, Ryan, but you did well. You did really well last week. So is that a good sign or a bad sign?
I put the same thought into it, but there was no variance in the thought process. It was just like, okay, yep. Shit. Nope. The data is exactly what I expected it to be. This is not good.
And yeah, I mean, especially this year, it has been chalky as hell. It has been very, I'd say, straightforward.
The bet splits are indicating to me that is not the case.
What do you mean?
I don't think that we're going to see people loading. I was shocked at the DraftKings bet splits.
Really? People are talking themselves into some dogs.
Completely shocked to see the circa being more unbalanced towards the favorites.
Well, I would say this. I think people could talk themselves into the Rams. If I had to guess a public dog from Joe Q Public, I've seen some fairly square takers out there hyping up the Los Angeles.
Really?
Rams. Yeah.
Oh, I would have, if you had asked me right now, which dog has fleas this weekend? It's Jaden Daniels. So obvious. Yeah. So many people have won lots of emotionally exciting money betting on Jaden Daniels.
Well, I mean,
the horseshoe is so far up the ass, it's poking out of his belly.
Jaden Daniels was the inspiration to Shed Picks. Shout out to Ryan Rich Fat Baby McKee, who launched Shed Picks after winning on the Hail Mary. So yes, I'm sure some people are talking in Washington. It is a big number. But I've seen a lot of people talking themselves into the Rams.
Okay, so that I am completely blindsided by that take.
Really?
Yeah, to me, I mean, I also think the fact that there's a sample of them playing this season.
No, but
and getting absolutely
the Rams looked much better in week 1 than the Eagles did. Of course, I'm telling you what I see. I'm aware of the Jalen Hurts slander. I'm aware of.
I'm not in these donkey pastures that you hang out in.
Oh, come on. No,
I mean, like
I've heard so many people say Sean McVay and Matt Stafford have the better better head coach, better quarterback.
When we talked
they're
about
frisky, they're live. Look at this team.
When we talked about Stafford and the Rams being an interesting dark horse to make a run in the NFC during some of the playoff contest stuff, Sean, I brought that up because I in my mind Tampa wasn't losing, and so I never in a million years thought the Rams were going to have to go through Philly. It is crazy to me that the Rams is the team that the public that you're listening to is going to be all over. That's very shocking to me. To me, the Eagles, yeah, again, we'll get into it, but
Patrick Fisher's saying, I think the Hurts hate is underserved. So you don't think there's enough Hurts hate? Because literally every talking head is shitting on Jalen Hurts. I don't know anyone in the media who FS1, ESPN, none of those guys defend Jalen Hurts, or if they do, it's pretty rare. I mean, a guy like Peyton Manning who knows football stood up for Jalen Hurts.
Oh my God. Can we pause for a second and talk about how great Peyton Manning was on the Manning cast when he brought up he calling out all these young quarterbacks doing the sponsored offensive line gift and then just going eyes right at the camera and be like, Tom Brady used to get his lineman Uggs. I'm sure he paid for him. Amazing moment in television.
I told you, Ryan.
Yeah, you're right.
When Brock Purdy got all his offensive linemen Chevy Blazers, I go, these are, you realize these are sponsored things.
And I said, that's ridiculous.
Well, because Ryan was getting all mad. He goes, why are they making such a big deal of this and reporting? I go, because part of the deal is, hey, we'll give you guys these trucks, but we need a video, we need social, we need it to become a news story.
From now on, this is going to be an element of my quarterback dog rankings. So Joe Burrow goes to the top because he gave out samurai swords and almost certainly was not looking for publicity. Brock Purdy off the island. Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's just interesting to me that you could play 4D chess in your mind and come to a conclusion that this, like the first version that we saw of this game, is going to be different than the second version being played in the elements.
Yeah, lot to get to.
That's just
couple different revenge angles.
Barely watched the games.
Before we get to it, though, haven't done one of these in a little bit.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our league.
A woman, Packers fan, was just trying to enjoy a game. She was just trying to root on her team against the Eagles. And wouldn't you know, a despicable Eagles fan was yelling at her and being really mean. But is there more to the story? Because now it turns out that her boyfriend, who wore the camera, he secretly wore a camera, was the one or secretly wore a camera. He's a content creator. He was doing like a GoFundMe to go and try and stir the hornet's nest, sat there while this guy was yelling at his girlfriend. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the clip. Now, this guy who got fired from his job, he's speaking out. He did apologize, saying he crossed the line, but he also said there are two. He goes, that said, there are two sides to every story. The video clip circulating online does not reflect the full context of what transpired, and my actions were not without provocation. So now, I mean, this guy, Ryan, what's your take on this case? To me, this is a real bitch move to like, you go in there, you try and put yourself in a situation to start some shit. You're filming it because you want to go viral. You go viral, but you go viral for having a guy scream at your wife. Now the other guy is probably a bit of a psycho. He admits he crossed the line. What he did, he shouldn't have done. But to me, wearing a wire, that is crazy. What are you, Donnie Brasco of NFL fans? You're going to set up other fans for a sting? How about if you're such a fan, why not go there and just work on enjoying the game? What was your handle on this ride?
Well, I like this is one of those areas where I do agree with Colby a little bit that part of a home edge
You're supposed to make it hostile.
Involves a little bit of an edge. Now, I do think that if you're a visiting fan, you also should act a certain way. Now, no one should have to deal with being berated. I mean, we watched Colby get the UCLA LSU fans united over cheering when Colby got kicked out because it becomes annoying at some point.
Yeah.
But I also think in the heat of a game, it's okay for someone to be a little annoying rooting for their team. We were at the Circa and there was a Eagles fan who was just obnoxiously screaming at these two Packers fans that hadn't said a word the whole night, screaming at them. Basically anytime a play happened. I don't know if you remember this. You probably were locked in, but he was behind. He was behind. Yeah, he was behind us. He was like your very typical like low IQ football fan who was just like fuck the other team's fans. And it's like, all right, you're a little annoying, but also it's the first week of the season. Like you're stoked on your team. You are winning, and the other fans just sat there. And you kind of have to take it, right? Your team's losing. It's annoying, but whatever. Now, obviously, the first thing I thought when I watched this video was something provoked this. Yes. This doesn't just happen. First of all, second of all, were they following the away fan code of conduct, which is shut the fuck up? I can tell you firsthand as someone who has stood up at Dodger Stadium in the all you can eat section with a Mariano Rivera sick ass white pinstripe jersey on and went like this and then got belted with a hot dog. I deserved getting hit with a hot dog. I didn't create some content, cry about it. Someone hit me with a hot dog because I was acting like an asshole behind enemy lines. So I think the reality is like you should have an edge with your home crowd. That's fine. I think that this guy is clearly a psycho, and many Eagles fans are psychos. I mean, they carry a badge of throwing D-cell batteries at Santa Claus.
Yes.
That's fine. That's part of the identity. They're scumbags. They're scumbags. That's what it is. Like, who's all these people shocked? Packers fans are Midwestern pussies. And this whole setup thing just is another layer of, I would say, putting that to the side. I think that the Eagles fan clearly in the wrong, but maybe he was provoked, and the Packers fans lower than scum. Because why would you want to go into an away stadium with the intent to do this?
Yeah,
you knew you were going to bait some mouth breather from Philadelphia who could call your wife a cunt because maybe she was acting like one.
Yeah, I mean,
so now your enjoyment over uncovering these bits of facts about the other fan is pretty hilarious.
Well, no, I mean it's not me. I just follow.
No, you're enjoying this.
No, the algorithm just feeds me.
No,
this
but
stuff.
You're enjoying it.
Well, yeah, because well, also this. Yeah, I mean, one, I think there is a code of conduct. There's an honor among fans, and I think as fans we know what a line you can push and when you cross the line. I also
Sean is speaking from a position where he was almost murdered behind enemy lines.
No, but also too, there are East Coast rules, and then there are like Midwest rules and West Coast rules. So if you're going into an imposing Northeast stadium for a playoff game in a hostile environment, strap the fuck in. It's just kind of the rules, but there are some rules that, where you cross the line, women and children, give them some sort of decency. That's what my instinct watching it was like. This wasn't the full thing. So hearing that maybe there was, and that it was a setup.
Well, as someone who watches a lot of Forensic Files and has been to a number of sporting events, the most blatant evidence that something it wasn't totally as what it seemed is two things. One, the husband or boyfriend was not he was not going forward like as if he was actually scared for his girlfriend or wife's safety. Two, no one else really seemed all that interested in the video, which generally when a scuffle starts happening, other people start pulling out their phones. And so the fact that there aren't a bunch of other angles of this tells me this was pretty normal for whatever that crowd scenario typically is. And so, yeah, I would love to see the unedited roll, because he was rolling the whole time. What do you think?
Whole thing's hilarious.
What do you think? How do you provoke someone like that?
You just
pretty easily, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again,
probably called
this
him
guy.
gay.
This guy, it's like that chart. He fucked around and he found out. Like I just can't imagine, to your point, that it was completely unprovoked.
I mean, again, like
usually if you're wearing your jersey and stuff, people will boo you. They'll say some stuff, but it would not be that vitriolic for no reason at all.
No, that had nothing to do with it being a Packer fan.
Yeah,
that was a personal thing, and yeah, I mean. Again, I get it. Like, Philly fans are scumbags. I'm not defending the Philly fans, but
thank you for coming to our defense.
Well, I'm certain. Look, I've been to you know what I tell the kids when you go to a sporting event where maybe there's going to be a little bit of hostility because it's a rivalry, you just explain the situation. Be like, people are hyped on this game. They're very emotional right now. Just stay out of the way of the adults and you'll be fine.
All right, let's get to the picks, Ryan. We got 4 games, and of course, all the props coming up in the prop episode. A bunch of fun stuff to get to, and of course, we are talking playoffs, and you bet we are. Get in on the action. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the National Football League. As we know, they're all about TDs over at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to get in? Place your first bet. Maybe you've been sitting on the sidelines all season waiting for that perfect time to hop in. Well, now is the time. Hey, just bet on anytime touchdown, first touchdown. They got it all over on DraftKings. We will be giving out, Ryan, our favorite first touchdown, anytime touchdown, multi-touchdown, whatever it is. We got you covered. Bunch of TD bets coming up. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. That's code SGP. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming measures, see dkng.co/audio. Kramer
crushed it.
Thank you.
Worth noting, the only place I've ever been outside of the area around Yankee Stadium where I've seen a crime being committed was actually at a 49ers game when they were playing the Ravens. As we were leaving, we saw a fan break a bottle and walk at someone with the intent to stab them in the throat. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
That was probably the most intense I've ever seen at a sporting event.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought we were going to see someone get stabbed and bleed out.
There is this weird West Coast sports thing where they're seen as soft, and certainly some of that is true. But then it's like, oh yeah, well the Giants Dodgers, they put that guy in a coma.
I don't think
or to the point we were in the Bay Area and the guy was ready to stab someone. I'm pretty sure it was a preseason game.
It's not soft.
No,
it's front running. It's like they don't really. There's a small population that really care, and they'll fucking stab you over it.
Yeah,
and everyone else is kind of like whatever. Oh, the Lakers in the playoffs. Let me throw on my
true
flags.
Hardcore West Coast sports fans are insane assholes, and I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah,
but it's just they're the softer kind of lackadaisical casual person that stumbles into sports in West Coast doesn't represent the hardcore fan.
I would say this: they're more hardcore, less intelligent, much lower sports IQ, much more hardcore.
Oh,
if you've ever walked into a random bar, right, like the rafters are rattling, and the Raiders just scored a field goal down 38-3. Yeah, that kind of sums it up to me. I feel like could catch some backlash on that one. All right, Sean, let's see.
Raiders fans don't know how to listen to a podcast, Ryan.
A couple of them do. I think.
Really?
We have
Okay.
a couple Raiders fans in here, and you know we have some friends that are Raider fans. It's important. You got to be able to say I know one. Although I still don't. I mean, their defense of going and putting full scale makeup on, just I'll never understand. All right. Oh man, they should have kept Gruden. They were on such a hilarious path. What Saturday, Sean, and this is almost becoming comical because guess who's playing at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday?
Oh, it's their sweet spot.
Houston Texans, just like last year when one of us boldly predicted that they would advance as a short dog at home. Now they are catching a big number on the road against the 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs. This number opened at 7.5, Sean. It came out at maybe as far as 9, back down to 8, -450 on the money line, +374 for the Texans. 41.5 is the total. If you're in the sheets because you're a member of the Patreon, the one team that really stands out of the remaining teams in the postseason on the offensive side is the Texans, and it's not in a positive way. I think a lot can be said. And by the way, more of a macro comment. They really like the benefit of getting the 1 seed. Not only do you get the bye, but you get the teams on a short week, shortish week.
Well, Houston was a full week because they played on Saturday.
It's true.
Mahomes is going to be rusty, Ryan. No way he uses all that extra time.
Well, what I was going to ask you is what is the other than pointing out that the Chiefs have not covered big numbers very effectively. What is the case for not taking the? It seems like
you would just go to your point. You would just go to Mahomes as a favorite of 7 or more. Is just not been great. Hasn't been good this season.
Just seems like last year. And what happened last year? They won that game against Cleveland. They went on the road to Baltimore and they got waxed.
Yeah, and that's the Texans story, but also too for the Texans. Like I know they beat that Chargers team, but I mean, if Herbert doesn't throw those interceptions, that game really could have gone the other way. I swear to God, if he doesn't pick up that fumble and chuck it down the field, I just think the margin of error to beat this Chiefs team is just so small. And I know the Chiefs were struggling to cover big numbers, but look at how they finished the season: 21-7 over the Browns, 27-19 over the Texans, 29-10 against the Steelers. I mean, yeah, they lost to the Bills, but other than that, man, like they didn't let up 20+ points very often in this season. You know, you can talk about Patrick Mahomes obviously all day, and it gets boring, but the guy is really awesome. As
Showtime
as much as it gets sick talking about it, you got to give him his flowers there a little bit. Andy Reid, Ryan. Oh, he doesn't do well with extra time to prepare. Wrong. 19-11 ATS. It also feels like they're just dying to let loose with Travis Kelce, and I've been debating
Hollywood
a couple.
Brown,
Hollywood Brown,
Hopkins,
Isaiah Pacheco. Like you could make a
Kareem
good case.
Hunt.
Who is going to be the playoff hero offensively? As far as skill player guys, it's interesting. Like we talked about it on the FFPC show. I think DeAndre Hopkins is an interesting long shot. I think also Kelce. I just looked this up. He's only 3 receiving touchdowns short of Jerry Rice for breaking the playoff all-time record.
That's crazy.
In a year where the Chiefs are trying to create history, not only by winning their 3rd in a row, but these guys look at that kind of stuff. They would love to have him get 4 receiving touchdowns. And it just feels like something to keep an eye on. Yeah, like what matchups? Yeah, I know Dalton Schultz will get his anytime touchdown because, of course, the Chiefs are horrible against tight ends. But other than that, and really, I mean, you can talk about the Chiefs' offense all day. Mahomes has also been elite in cold weather. That's a big angle on this. But really, it's the defense. It's this Chiefs defense, which is still very good. They're getting their cornerback back, and they're going up against a Texans team that I still don't think has a ton of confidence, and I don't think they have it figured out. I think they're going to be able to slow down Joe Mixon. Maybe they do something with Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz, but other than that, I don't know, man. It does. I love Spagnuolo versus this Bobby Sloak offense. What's the issue with Bobby Sloak's offense, Ryan? It's very predictable. And I think if you're seeing a Bobby Sloak offense for the second time, Spags is going to eat. He's had a long time. I'm sure they were keeping an eye on the Texans because there was a decent chance they were going to be able to play them. So, man, how do you not just take them? And last but not least, and there's 2 games where this applies, but in the last 20 years, a dome team who has played outdoors in sub 30-degree weather for the playoffs 9 times. Those teams are 2-7, straight up losing by 10 points per game. So now
you're one of those games was probably last year against the Ravens.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So,
or, and sub 30 degrees, whatever. It's going to be cold. The Texans.
Well, I've seen a lot of there's weather arguments going on social media because there were some, one information service that does not factor in wind chill is saying that this will be the coldest game Lamar Jackson has ever played.
Oh, for the Buffalo.
Yeah. Which just then turned into a huge argument about weather in general. And when we measure the coldness, and some places use wind chill and some places don't, the point is it's cold. Right. But I think you nailed it. Spags versus, forget Bobby Sloak, Spag versus this style of offense. They dominate.
Yeah.
They've done it well against the Niners. They've done well against a lot of offenses that run this same scheme, similar run blocking scheme. And you nailed it. The weakness of this Texans team is the offensive line, certainly on the offense.
Yeah.
And the strength of the Chiefs defense is that defensive front. Like this game is going to get wrecked by the defensive line of the Chiefs. And I think when you look at what happened in the Chargers game, well, the big story was the play of the cornerbacks, but think about the opportunities that Disley had. Think about how like the drop passes off his hands. Kelsey's going to eat in this game. Like it's a fairly good matchup unless they do something crazy like bring Stingley in to try to contend with him. Then you have Hollywood Brown, who you've got oiled up.
You have Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins.
D-Hop in a light revenge spot against his old team.
Well, and Adam Rosenberg sent this parlay over that him and Scotty Reichel. Shout out to those guys.
They're in the lab.
They were in the lab cooking things up, and the angle he liked, and I was looking at it a lot too. Once he sent it over there, Travis Kelce 2 touchdowns, under 5.5 receptions, 70-1. So I know they've been using Noah Gray a little bit more, but this is the playoffs. There is that touchdown record looming.
Why under the receptions?
Just basically that they're going to save his heavy red zone work for. Well, 1, it jacks the price up. 2,
no, I understand that.
This is
a to the moon parlay.
Well, it's like 70-1 versus 14-1 if you just take the 2 touchdowns. Which I can talk myself into.
The reverse correlation's nice.
Yeah, 100%.
Respect.
I know everyone likes Noah Gray, Justin Watson. That is the tough thing for this Chiefs team. I think you got to kind of just take one guy to ride with. For me, in the FFPC was DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see where I get to with the props. But again, like I think some of the long shot stuff with Noah Gray, if they do stick with his role in the playoffs, I think they're going to abandon it a little bit more and give it to Kelsey. But if they do stick with it for him, Noah Gray, as we mentioned on the FFPC show, he was 90-1 reception touchdown leader. He's only 1 back. If you think the Chiefs can, and a lot of those guys that had the 1 touchdown are going to be out because they're out of the playoffs. So,
yeah, I'm shocked to see that the bet splits have 56% on Houston. Only 42% of the handle on Houston, so bigger bets. But that's DraftKings.
Yeah,
people are betting Houston. Circa's a different story. 66% of the bets, 79% of the action on the Chiefs. So, and worth noting, last 50 divisional playoff games, Sean, the spread is dead. 37-12-1 ATS. The team.
Hey, doesn't matter. Why even have point spreads, Ryan?
So yeah, I guess we're gonna be donkeys, right?
Oh yeah. No. Oh wait, I meant
It's Dominic the donkey.
This would be one I would circle, and we'll talk about it on the prop show. I think it could be. I mean, I know the Lions are going to be probably more chalky in the biggest win market than should be compared to the Chiefs, considering the point spread's almost the same because the total's lower. I kind of like this to be the biggest blowout of the weekend.
oh Chiefs Texans.
Well, I mean, we watched them not score on Christmas against the Ravens.
Yeah, and
why that same game could happen?
Well, that first quarter, that did not look. It's not like CJ Stroud looked great.
They couldn't. I mean, the Ravens are a team you can pass on. They just couldn't run the ball. It's like literally the same thing the Chiefs are going to do to them. So, yeah, lowest scoring team for the Texans, certainly in play as well for me. All right, Sean. And
I mean, going into that last minute of the half, they hadn't scored a point, and then it was that weird crazy play and
You're
then
right.
the interception,
the fumble, pickup, throw down the field.
I'm telling you, that changed the entire game.
That's a great call, and worth noting.
Because I was double checking. I'm like, they didn't get that first touchdown until super late in the game. It was 58 seconds left in the second quarter.
You're right,
and that was bad. As much as I've been a Harbaugh honk, that was bad clock management.
Yeah, and you would probably say that Houston had the easiest win in terms of the opponent in hindsight. Worth noting, Sean, last 12 years in the divisional round has seen at least 3 home teams win. So don't be afraid of being overly chalky, especially on the money line. Are you going to be teasing the Chiefs like everyone else in America? It's like, I get it. You like the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to win. Don't do a fucking show or write an article and only tell me to tease the Chiefs.
It's a great teaser.
That is the laziest
teaser.
That is the laziest shit.
I don't, and I'll say
fuck
this.
You. What are you handicapping? Chiefs are going to win in the postseason at home against the fucking dome team. Kudos. You want fucking golf clap.
I don't think that the Chiefs are a good teaser leg because I think they're going to cover the 8, and that makes it a bad teaser leg.
I actually like them as a pleaser leg, Sean.
Yeah. And we'll see if we can get the 14 over at Circuit there. Terry has a question in the chat, Ryan. While you answer that question, I'm going to grab a beer, but answer Terry's question.
Terry, who does not have an avatar, we have spoken to you people about this. Just put any picture works. It can be of your backyard. Maybe you're a big fan of the mowing the lawn. Take a picture of your lawn, upload it as your YouTube avatar. Then I can see something and figure out what kind of person you are. All I have here is a T. So we'll say small T Terry. Kramer, what team is most likely to score a safety? Ooh, you know, I would put that at the safety will happen on Saturday would be favored.
Huh. So you won't answer the team. You answered the day.
Chiefs.
Okay.
But no, I'm just saying. I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the one seed matchups.
I go with the number 1 team in defensive DVOA, Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, I mean that seems okay. Yeah, I mean you're wearing all the Eagles stuff. That seems obvious.
Let's go.
5 p.m. on the West Coast Saturday. Washington, the 6th seed, heading to Detroit. The 1 seed. Lions -9. This was out to 10 at times, Sean. I'm sure some sharp swimming in the sea bought that up. -530 on the money line, +434 for the Commanders football team and Redskins. 55.5 is the total. We talked about how the horseshoe is all the way inside the Redskins and it's poking out of the belly area. And they're going to need postseason surgery to figure it out. We're going to talk about the regression next year, Sean. I expect Pythag to have them at like 1.8 wins. I think 1.5 wins conservatively beneath what they ended up with. They will be a team we will be looking to play the under next year. Now that being said, sometimes you can battle that type of regression because you have a really good quarterback. Jaden Daniels looks to be that, and you can have success against the Lions defense with a mobile quarterback. My problem is if you look at every team that plays in a defensive scheme where whether it's they're playing man or they're playing some of these cover 3 concepts with a lot of blitzing, like a Jared Goff just eats. You look at the Jags game, you look at the Titans game, you look at the Bucks game, even though the output on the scoreboard was a little weird. They had like 500 yards. I can't see a world where the Lions don't score 35 plus points.
I mean,
so can Washington keep up against this defense?
I think they might be able to, because I for me it was like, oh man, this Lions defense is rough. It's not a Super Bowl quality offense, and then you saw, oh hey, must win spot, secure the 1 seed. And look what they did to that Minnesota Vikings team. They shut them down. Anzalone's back. But was the Detroit Lions defense really fixed, or did Sam Darnold turn into a pumpkin and secretly suck?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Because I think at the end of the day, you just have to, like, what's the game plan against Jaden Daniels? And in some ways, why not take the same game plan? Get super aggressive. Make him make a play. Don't sit back and give him chance to read and then run. Attack him just like you attack Sam Darnold. I think I was telling you before the show that this game, I thought this Commanders team, specifically kind of this scenario, reminded me a little bit of the Giants a couple years ago, where they, like, Daniel Jones went on the road. The team had been winning a lot of close games. They had a little bit of the horseshoe up their ass, and they went on the road and they looked fucking good, beating a team that was kind of fraudulent. And in the case of the Redskins, like, fucking Baker Mayfield handed them that game when he fumbled. It's just unreal.
The doink.
Again, back to the don't get me started on the fucking parlay.
But if you bet the Lions, are you going to be looking at the same ripped up parlay here in that situation? Because they have been incredibly fortunate on these, like, 3rd downs, 4th down. They're good at converting those, but they're converting them at a rate that's probably not sustainable. Thus, like, all the luck metrics have them as a super lucky team.
I'll circle a couple matchups, but specifically a lot of what the Commanders have. A lot of the success for the Commanders on the defensive side of the ball has come from pressure. The Lions have the best offensive line in the league. A lot of the struggles from the Commanders have been when teams have run the ball. You saw it with the Bucks. They give it to Irving. He's gashing the shit out of them. They stop giving it to Irving for some reason. The Lions aren't going to stop giving it to Gibbs. And now it sounds like Montgomery at least is going to be out there as some form of dressing.
Yeah.
So I think between the way the running game is going to work and the way the play action is going to work, because Amon-Ra crushes man coverage and is going to crush these dudes. I'm not,
and he's really mad that they drafted De'Ami Brown above him.
That's right.
I don't know if you saw that.
He memorized all the names.
He goes, they drafted that De'Ami guy over me. Amon-Ra was very pissed.
It wasn't a good pick.
The problem is, to me, it's like, man, this 9.5. Is this game going to be 27-17 with, the Lions sitting back and then Jaden Daniels scrambling all over? Lions up by 2, comfortably, or maybe they're up 13, and the Commanders backdoor this.
Commanders would have been 18-0 to this number this season. So there is an argument to be had there that this is just too big, but I don't know. I think the Lions are in the middle of something, much like you say about the Chiefs, that there's something brewing here. There's three-peat. There's records on the line. There's career accomplishments on the line. I think the Lions, for the same reason. I mean, this is all the buddies getting fucked up one more time in Vegas before the 3 of them get married. They're all aware of what's going on here. They understand that there's a lot of things, both contractually with the roster construction and with the coaching, that are most likely going to be different next year than are to this year. And so I don't think there's any looking past anything. I think there's 100% focus here. I think Aaron Glenn would take it personally and be incredibly embarrassed if a Cliff Kingsbury offense beat him to let this team fall short of their goals again. And I think Ben Johnson understands that if he lets these interviews get in the way of his ultimate goal, the talk of him and his next job gets in the way of them accomplishing the ultimate goal for this team. I think the focus is just there. And I think, unfortunately the Commanders are going to be good. The defense is way ahead of schedule. The offense looks like it will be fine. They'll be good, and that's fine. Next year they'll be good. Maybe Jaden Daniels can get a couple injuries, get a skinny ass frame, but this year I think this is the end of the road. I think the Lions win handily here. I think this is going to be one of those classic Saturday night snoozers, Sean. I don't think there's going to be any backdoor concern. I'm thinking something like, and again, if you bring up the Lions schedule.
Yes.
Look at what they did against these teams that don't just sit back and play some sort of soft zone. They've gone bonkers. 47 points against the Cowboys, Sean. 52 against the Titans. 52 against the Jags. In a game, the Jags only scored 6 points. These aren't scoring like 28, 31 points. They're putting up massive fucking numbers. They lost to the Bills, put up 42 points, 40 against the Niners.
Well, but they also let up a ton of points in that one.
Sure. Yeah. no. I mean, again, I'm just leaning purely on the offensive output. What is the team total?
No, I mean, I
don't ever bet team total.
I mean,
give me the Lions team total.
The total itself is 55.5, which is crazy for a playoff game. I'll take Detroit laying the what are we calling it, 9? I'll take Detroit laying the 9.
Calling it 9. That's the 8 minutes before the show started. That was the number.
Okay, because I used the DraftKings lines, but promo code SGP.
What's the number?
DraftKings has it at 9.5.
Okay, you want to pick it at 9.5?
No, it doesn't matter. You wrote it down as 9. We'll call it as 9.
Jesus.
I'm laying the 9.
Fucking Scantron police over here.
And yeah, I mean, to me, like the only way I see the Redskins covering is with a back door here. Like I do think prop wise, obviously Jaden Daniels rushing stuff going to be all over that. I think you can still attack the middle of the offense a little bit with like some Austin Eckler receiving yards. I think that could be an interesting angle for them. But I know you said they're ahead of the schedule, Ryan, defensively Washington, but I still don't think their defense is that good.
I think it's okay.
Kenny Pickett was carving them up,
but I think it's again. What do the Eagles have? A great offensive line. Again, you neutralize the pass rush.
Yeah.
And let me address D Bettis here, putting my name in all caps. The Commanders aren't far off of being a trash team. That's my point. And I think if you neutralize their pass rush because you have a great offensive line, it's going to be a very long day. And if I'm a defense, beat me. I've watched too many teams sit back and not blitz Jaden Daniels. Blitz his ass. Blitz his ass on every fucking play. That would be the game plan if I'm Detroit. Get beat when he doesn't have time. Don't get beat when he's sitting back there picking you apart.
Taking the Lions, laying the 9.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, let's kick it over to underdogfantasy.com where you can sign up using the promo code SGPN. Get you a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Kramer, what do you like for an underdog entry this week?
You want to talk about one of the games we've already talked about?
I'll talk about whatever you want, Ryan. It's a divisional round playoff. There's only 4 games. Plenty of angles to talk about, though.
2 things I'll throw out there. We can play CJ Stroud to throw a pick.
Okay.
Seems very easy. And I'll let you choose, receiver of your choice to go higher than their fantasy points on the Lions and or yards.
Okay. Don't we want to? Can I play Jaden Daniels rushing yards? Do we not want that?
What's the number? It's got to be huge.
Well, why don't you guess? Oh my God, it's insane.
It's probably so high because everyone's talking 58.5.
54.5. All right. Never mind. That's
very high.
Thank you, internet, for ruining good markets.
Yeah.
All right. So,
do you not like the CJ Stroud pick?
Oh yeah, I do. We can start with that. CJ Stroud.
That feels like this.
100%.
Is it? And the price seemed,
But it's 0.81x.
that's not enough.
No, come on.
Okay.
Let's go flat number here.
Okay. You want to do D Hop?
I like DeAndre Hopkins.
Touchdown.
Ooh, okay.
I feel like,
like
that's the safest way to look, because I think he's going to be a trusted. Like if I had to guess on a guy to have a crazy amount of volume that no one sees, or it's not, and not everyone sees coming, it's Hollywood Brown. But if I'm picking someone to randomly get a nice couple looks in the red zone because that's where he's trusted, it's D Hop.
So I like that. DeAndre Hopkins higher a half rushing and receiving touchdown.
Revenge spot too.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you like?
Let's see. I mean, I like Laporta. I know we didn't really talk about him.
Amon-Ra scoring. It's probably very chalky though.
0.9x. But we're 2.09 on Hopkins.
Okay, then that works.
Yeah. Then we get a this is a nice return. $100 entry returns you $564 just for Amon-Ra to get a touchdown, just for DeAndre Hopkins to get a touchdown.
So simple.
And you can do that over at underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN.
All right. So we were incredibly chalky on Saturday. What could possibly go wrong? Sunday, Sean. And by the way, 1 p.m. Pacific will be live on Saturday, a little pregame. 11 on Sunday, because the game's at noon. Your Eagles, Sean, the 2 seed, hosting the Los Angeles Rams. Stafford outside, a dome team outside. Sean McVay with his bare chest, no hair covering that thing. He's gonna get cold. Not a real man like Big Dom. Philly -6, -280 on the money line, +240 for the Rams. 44 is the total. This number has moved the most. Ish, I guess you could argue the Bills Ravens, but this in terms of opening at 4.5. Now at 6, much like last week, I expect this to continue to move. We watched this game already. We just watched the Rams beat a team that they could dominate. And so sometimes matchups make fights. And what I watched in the first matchup was the Rams had no answer for the offensive line. I know they're fun and have a nice pass rush, and when they have a lead, they're a nice defense. But if the roles are reversed, I don't think it matters if Jalen Hurts is playing bad football. I really don't think it matters. I think I think the first game, did AJ Brown have a 100-yard game? I believe he did. Yeah. Saquon went nuts, but
255 yards. And that was without Jordan Mailata. I know Rams fans are like, hey, we were missing a right tackle who's now going to be playing, but the Eagles were without Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, and Devonta Smith in that game. So where they put it on them in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And that's the right change of venue. It's now weather. Much like, and this doesn't really apply to the Kansas City game, but much like the Detroit game, I think there's such a mismatch in what the offensive line is going to be able to do for the Eagles against the Rams defensive line, specifically in the run game. I don't think the Eagles are going to have, I think we're going to have the same conversation about Jalen Hurts going into next week.
Well, so
don't things. You kind of agree? They won't need it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Their formula is we'll get the lead. We'll keep the lead.
And you know what? Puka's dumbass dives and slams his body on the ground. That frozen ground's not going to feel good.
And Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, I think we can do a great job slowing them down. Look at Stafford. Let's talk a little Stafford.
Is Higbee playing? I saw he got banged up.
He went from coughing up blood to will probably go Sunday, which was all time.
They have a lot of tight ends.
Classic NFL. Shout out to the real dogs out there. Last time Matt Stafford played in the rain, I asked Ryan this behind the scenes. See if the chat knows. Matt Stafford, last time he played in the rain, I'll give them a chance to answer, but he's 1-5 in the rain, 10 touchdowns, 12 interception, 56 completion percentage. Just one game he's played in 40 degrees or colder temperatures. Now I'm guessing like mid 30s. So maybe a small chance it goes to snow, probably I would say high 30s with some light rain. I don't see it being a crazy story, but it'll be at least a little annoying. And one game, 40 degrees or colder last 3 years for Matty Stafford. They did win, but it was that ugly game against the Jets, 19-9, where he looked bad. But let's just look at why did the Rams beat the Vikings? Right, their defensive line dominated. The reason I was on the Rams over for their win total. I thought they did a good job. We liked the Jared Verse draft pick, Ryan. I think at some point we had him defensive rookie of the year when we were doing some of those early shows.
Yep, it might have a
Kramer had a sprinkle on him. I think we gave him
a big sprinkle.
Nice price.
Well, that's one of those. It's a game changer.
What was it, like 20-1 when we gave it out, or 30-1?
It was, I believe, 16-1.
Okay, so Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, very good defensive line. And the Vikings, in hindsight, and we mentioned it when it happened, they weren't the same once they lost their left tackle for that season. They still won a bunch of games, but when they went up against high level opponents with a really good defensive line, they got fucked. And that's what happened Monday night. And I don't think the Rams D line is going to be able to do this against the Eagles offensive line. This Eagles offensive line is elite. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, you have multiple all pros. I mean, I love Jason Kelsey, but Cam Jurgens has done an amazing job filling in for him for the offensive line. Then you throw in Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley ran for 255 in that game. And what has changed? I don't know. Not much. And then you look at AJ Brown, who I'm sure they might go out of their way to feed him. He only had one catch last game.
What's this deal with this book? I don't understand.
So he has this book about achieving inner excellence. There was they cut to him after a drive where he didn't get the ball and he's sitting there reading the book. And now this guy, his book shot up to #1 on Amazon. It was like a 5 million sales price increase. I mean, someone who knows a little bit about stuff, like, to get #1.
So he's selling a book?
Who?
Excuse me.
What's going on over there, Ed?
I started choking on a LaCroix.
Okay.
So is he getting a piece of that?
No. No, he's just, maybe he is, but and of course everyone's like, oh, he's doing it because he was mad. He's not. And all the FS1 guys, the talking heads, are like, he's not reading a book if he's catching 80 yards and having a touchdown. And then Jahan Dotson literally screenshotted the box score where he had 80 yards and a touchdown and was also reading the book. Now, so I guess he does this throughout the season. He uses it as he clears his head by reading some of this book, some of the chapters, reminding you about keeping your head calm and clearing your head and achieving excellence, Ryan. And the only reason it became a story is because they're like, hey, he's not getting involved. They cut to him and he was reading that book. So it became a whole thing. As
you talking around how this should be normalized is hilarious. So he brings a book to the sideline because he's a petulant child and needs help calming down.
No. Okay. No, not at all.
He has to read a book during the football game. 3 hours. He can't go without reading his book.
No,
that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Why would he bring? Do every Eagle bring a book to the sideline?
No, but
that's insane.
It's not like he's reading stuff that he has highlighted. It's a mental thing about hey, this is what you do to achieve excellence, right? And I know the Giants are so far from excellence. The idea of having someone this
has nothing to do with the Giants. You can't normalize bringing a book to the sideline and have it because that's dumb as shit. You would call it dumb as shit if any other player was doing it.
Right.
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
I'm defending it because it's AJ Brown.
What a child.
What a child. That's not a child doesn't want to achieve greatness. They don't know hey,
a child needs special treatment so he can bring his book to the sideline.
I have no problem. Some guys look at an iPad. If Ryan, if someone broke out a Bible, would you have a problem with that?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, okay. Well, then
what the fuck does that have to do with the sideline of a football game?
I have no problem.
Is it team issued?
What do you mean? Is it team issue?
It's contraband.
What do you mean?
If
No,
I was
not.
a coach, that's contraband. What does that have to do with you playing the game?
It's something that helps you get your mind right. If
Some fidget spinners,
if someone
some
listen,
service animals,
someone listen to music, that would be fine. I have no problem
if
with
they
high
started
level
letting,
athletes doing what they need to do to stay locked in on the sidelines. No problem.
that's crazy.
How is that crazy?
Because it's the anti-team.
What do you
To
mean?
do something as an individual, it's nothing to do with team. How can that be a positive for your team?
Okay, so you sit down, you look at the some of the guys' mantra, you read it for 2 seconds, you put the book back down.
I need the chat to chime in here. This is crazy that you're defending this.
What am I crazy about?
That this is okay
You don't
behavior.
read. It's not like he read it for 3 hours.
I know, but he's only playing football in a game for 3 hours a week. He can't go without his book for 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, like if you printed out some, if you're a comedian, you printed out a set list, you're sitting on the sideline, or if it's
That is completely different.
how so?
That's part of your job. I would argue that's part. That's like
I would argue
that's like your helmet.
Yeah, I would. It would if you brought that book into a meeting room, for and there was a break in the meeting and you started looking at it. Why is that so crazy?
Sean, if we were in if we went and met with some people, had a business meeting, and there was a guy in there that whipped out the book in the middle of the meeting to read some passages, you wouldn't be like, that's a little odd. That behavior is a little strange. He couldn't wait till after the meeting. That
would be if AJ Brown whipped the book out during a play, then yes, that would be crazy. You're in a different space when you're sitting on the sidelines.
This okay.
And I said,
Okay.
I'm defending him because he's an Eagle. Ryan, I know you haven't had a good receiver in a long time, but
if Odell Beckham pulled a book out on the sideline, oh, stop it!
Oh, AJ Brown's way better than Odell Beckham.
No, the behavior is what I'm commenting on.
Right, and
he's the same level of a petulant child.
But no.
Yes.
I would.
He's just better at football.
No, I would 100% disagree. Odell Beckham didn't have the respect of his teammates. Odell Beckham's teammates didn't like him. Name me a guy like Devonta Smith that would say he would go to war with Odell
Smith's
Beckham.
a great teammate. That's why he's saying that.
Okay, name a coach that said that whatever Odell Beckham was getting.
Oh, I'm just simply commenting that if Odell Beckham was reading a book on the sideline, you'd have a different perspective on the importance of having your passages to help your mind be right.
Right, but everyone on the team, no one on the team has an issue with it.
Yeah, oh, that's fine because he's a star. I'm sure most of the players on the team don't feel enabled to have a problem with it. But he's acted like a petulant child consistently. And so I guess he needs his toys on the field.
Child though.
Having something that you're allowed to do that's different than everyone else is exactly a spoiled child. That's all.
All right.
And it's strange to defend that kind of behavior.
Why is it strange? The guy's awesome and the team is fine with it.
Okay.
I mean, if it was a legit distraction to the team, I would say put it away.
That's very strange. I mean, they're asking questions about it. That's
who do you mean? What do you mean?
Like that's not a distraction.
No. Well, you know how it's not a distraction? It went on through the entire season and the cameras just caught it this past game.
Yeah. It's like Kaepernick kneeling, but then it became a distraction. So does he continue to read?
Yeah, why wouldn't he? No one has a problem with it except Joe Q Public. Why wouldn't he? Now he should read more. Read on these motherfuckers, AJ Brown. I love it. I love all the hate.
You do not love it.
Yes, I do.
Dude, you're full of shit. You don't love it.
How do I not love it?
You don't love one of your best players reading a book on the sideline.
No, what I love is
you don't love that.
What I love is that everyone, TMZ people are pouring the hate on the Eagles, and the Eagles are defending each other. I love what it's bringing out of this team. You're right. Would I rather him not read the book on the sideline? Sure. But I love what it's instilling in this team. I love the fact that all his teammates are defending him and sticking up for him. The same thing with Hurts. The same thing when Barkley got tackled and Hurts got in the middle of it. That is how you build championship character, and that is how a team comes together. So I love this. I love that everyone was talking shit on Hurts's stats, and then they had a great game throwing the football. I love all that stuff. That's how you win games. That's how you build a true team.
AJ Brown's character is not why the Eagles win a championship. That's for certain. It's Jalen Hurts' character. It's a lot of other players' characters, not AJ Brown's.
AJ Brown's the man, and so are the Eagles. They're going to destroy him. Give me one reason the Rams are going to beat the Eagles, Ryan.
I don't think they're going to beat the Eagles.
Okay,
one of us is locking up the Eagles 2 weeks in a row. One of us. It's not you. It's not the Eagles fan. This is a ridiculous match. This is an obvious matchup. This is the most lopsided, like schematical matchup on the board. I would almost say that the Eagles have the highest probability of winning their game outright in my mind, over the Lions and the Chiefs. So
yeah, I mean, to me, it's just a O-line D-line game. Yeah. Eagles defensive line is going to fuck up the Rams O-line. Yeah, but again, like the Eagles, they're not one to run up the score. Like, could they have won? Barkley slid there at the end. Maybe he breaks that touchdown. And I think Hurts is just programmed right now with the idea of, if I don't turn the ball over, we're going to win the game.
But something's not right with him though, right? A little bit.
No. Well, I would say
he's got something's got to be shook off of him.
No, I think this is just how he's been at times here in the season, where he's been hyper conservative. I don't think he needs to be that conservative. He holds on to the ball too long, and only throws it when he knows he's got a very high completion percentage and a chance. Like he's being hyper conservative because he knows how good this defense is, and he knows how good they're running the ball. If he doesn't turn the ball over, they don't lose, and they haven't lost a game that he's finished since before the bye week.
This kind of feels like a Hurts over rushing yards. It's 37.5.
He likes running.
Like Hurts and Barkley, they win it on the ground. They, between all their running backs, there's like 42.
I do think they're
carries.
And we see this all the time with this team. AJ Brown coming off a one catch game, he's gonna get some more looks.
Nothing to do with the book getting some media attention.
Maybe, but also the guy's an incredible weapon. So he was underused last game.
I wonder if Jalen Hurts there's something wrong. Maybe they're hiding something.
What are they hiding?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying.
So, this is a great example. Anytime anything happens, there's just constant shade being thrown at this team. Nice home playoff win, and it's all about.
But you do realize I've highlighted why this is a great matchup for the Eagles. I'm picking the Eagles, but just the mere mention of me questioning something that seems anti-Eagles, and it becomes a hemming and hawing about how
it's a great
everyone's throwing shade.
It's a great example because when you have won this many games that the Eagles have, sometimes you need to search for motivation, and they don't need to search, because they still are heavily criticized for a team of their record.
I would say that if I was an Eagles fan, I would be concerned that the offense hasn't exactly looked good in a while.
I'm not concerned.
Okay.
I mean,
because if it does turn, if Stafford somehow is able to operate in the cold, which I don't think he will be, although he is rocking that sleep number bed, so he finally is able to firm up his side. That a wife of his really likes a soft mattress. No, I think it's a horrible matchup again. Like, they're not.
The last time the offense looked really good was against the Rams when it needed to be. The Rams, and it didn't even really need
a long fucking time. Yeah, I'm on the Eagles. We don't need to talk about this anymore. But I
mean, they didn't need to play their starters against the Giants. They put up 41 against the Cowboys. They were moving the ball and scoring against the Commanders. Hurts got knocked out of the game. Almost won that one. Steelers, they put up 27. They didn't look great against the Panthers, but again, like they get up and then they squeeze the life out of you. This is the Anaconda Eagles.
Yeah. I might have to bring in a book, have it at the table here, so when things get heated, I can recenter myself.
You would benefit from it, right?
Get the fuck out of here. I think if we were doing worst takes in the history of sports gambling podcasts, you defending this behavior I'm nominating on the Mount Rushmore. Last game, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Got the Ravens and the Bills. Sean, they're talking about this like as if it's the Super Bowl. In fact, I was listening to a program that said this would be the most ideal Super Bowl for the NFL. And I thought for a second, they must not be aware of conferences. Ravens somehow favored in Buffalo. This will be a Lamar wetsuit game, expected to be around 0, -120 on the money line. Bills +100, 51.5 is the total. How can the total be so high? I understand you can point to the Bills giving up some points, and you can point to both teams' offenses. And we were discussing the idea that maybe we fade the Lions Commanders game in terms of not having a lot of points because everyone thinks there are going to be a lot of points. I actually think this is the game where that's live. I have a strange, like I'm not a totals guy. Hit a couple totals in a parlay last weekend. No big deal. Fuck Baker. But I got a weird feeling about this one. Lamar doesn't operate well in the cold.
No,
I do think that McDermott is going to roll out a game plan that is going to force Lamar to drive down the field. And I don't think we're going to see those explosive running plays we saw last week from this Ravens team. And on the other side, the Bills have showed us what they are. They're going to be a power running team. They're going to run between Josh Allen and Ty Johnson and Cook. They're going to run the ball a ton, and the clock's going to eat. I don't see how this gets to 51.5, Sean. Am I crazy? It's going to be cold as shit. It might not have weather. There might not be a ton of wind.
When was the last Ravens loss, Ryan?
The last Ravens loss was, I'll say, 2 months ago.
Do you know the team?
The last Ravens loss was to who?
Very good team.
The Chiefs.
Better than the Chiefs.
The Lions.
Even better than the Chiefs and the Lions.
Eagles.
Okay. That's right. December 1st, Eagles beat the Ravens, and I think it's a game plan that the Eagles can. The Eagles game plan, I think, is something that the Bills can mimic. Like you said, Ryan, pounding the rock with Saquon Barkley, playing good defense. I think again, why does Lamar do so much better against the NFC than the AFC? Because if you know how to play Lamar, you can slow down Lamar. And Lamar, again, smallish sample size, but three road games in the playoffs. He's only won one, and that one win, he did not look good. Kind of struggled in that one. I guess I am just still skeptical about Lamar in the playoffs. I especially if they're not running downhill. And
shouldn't we be skeptical about the Bills though as well?
I guess, but I would say, I don't know. I mean, so for my, I got a little crazy thinking maybe the Broncos could do something there, but ultimately, it did feel like a little early. The Bills were pressing. They were trying to win the Super Bowl in that drive, because they're so jacked up. They're so excited. I think that Troy Franklin touchdown by the Broncos woke them up a little bit, got them, all right, hey, we're in a game here, and they figured it out after that. So this Bills defense is underrated. I think, having Matt Milano back, while he hasn't been amazing on the field, I still think it does enough for them. And at the end of the day, I like Josh Allen, his ability to lower the shoulder, his ability to get it done. Really, the Chiefs are their kryptonite, and they even beat the Chiefs in the regular season this year. And this is the ultimate revenge game for the Bills, who got destroyed by the Ravens in Baltimore. And I trust their ability to adapt after that loss. And you just look at like Josh Allen, 12-2 straight up as a home dog or a favorite under 3 since 2020. Like Josh Allen, I mean, this is crazy to me that they went from being a small favorite. Like the Bills just don't deserve to be a home dog. In what world? They're the 2 seed. Why should they be the home dog? I don't get that.
Since 97, there's only been 4 road favorites in the divisional round.
Yeah.
I mean, 1-1 the game. That's it. It's just a weird spot to be in. Where do you think this number closes?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to move much from here.
I mean, what does it tell you if there's a minus? If you have a 2.5 point home dog, you bet it.
Yeah,
it's simple. And the one part of this that it doesn't happen a lot, but Todd Monken has some clunkers calling plays sometimes, and they forget about the stuff that works. And I know Lamar is back to just running the ball, and that usually works, but everything has
he's had some duds in the playoffs,
but everything has
particular.
been working for them, and it's easy to compliment them when it's working. And so wetsuit. How thick is the wetsuit Lamar will be wearing? Is he going 5 millimeter, maybe 7 millimeter?
Scuba Steve, Terrell back in Lamar. Good luck betting the not MVP. And everyone I think came to the same conclusion of whoever wins this should also get MVP.
You heard what's going to happen.
What?
Sounds like it potentially is on a path of co
MVPs. That's lame.
Do you know when the last time we had co MVPs?
Steve McNair.
Yeah.
With Peyton Manning.
We recently talked about this. Yeah. I mean that again, listening to some other non-ball knowing content this week where they were unaware that there was a co MVP before. I think they end up being co MVPs. That would be the hot take. Yeah. I have a feeling we see a lower scoring game here, Sean. Perhaps we flirt with something silly like under. Alt under maybe I want to we'll build something fun for the prop show around that.
Yeah, Josh Allen, as Lamar or Terrell saying Josh Allen with duds in the playoffs. Yeah, he's had some duds, but generally at home he's been pretty good. I mean, obviously he's lost at Kansas City a couple times. The Heartbreakers has lost to Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes at home.
I just and
that Cincy team in 2022 was a different team.
Yeah, you have some serious home. I mean, all 4 teams that are playing home games this weekend, you could argue are 4 of the better home field advantages in the league. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think this
Kansas City, Philly, and Buffalo all with some sort of elements, and you have a night game in Detroit. That's going to be tough to overcome for any of these road teams. I'm picking 4 home teams, Sean.
No, and I just did the math. What do you think a 4 home team money line parlay over at DraftKings pays? There's some pretty big favorites in there.
Probably not going to pay very well. I'll say plus 380.
Yeah, it's like plus 3 something. So, but if you,
that was just me doing some estimation.
So you're also on Buffalo plus 1.5.
Yeah.
I mean, Derrick Henry being on the other side, the Henry Lamar Jackson combo. I get it. To me, this is a close game. And if this was in Baltimore, I would have to take Baltimore. I think as much as,
clearly to me,
as much as regular season home field has kind of gotten whittled away, I think in the playoffs, it still is worth something.
If this was in good weather and or in Baltimore, I'd almost certainly be on Baltimore. But Baltimore would be laying 3.5.
To me, Ryan, let's just look at this as put our sharp handicapping hats on for a little exercise here. What would you grade Buffalo's home field advantage in the playoffs with some potential weather, or just their home field with like?
I don't know if there's I don't know if there would be a more significant edge that I would give to any team. I mean, honestly, the other teams I would consider are like Kansas City and yeah, probably those 2.
So I think conservatively,
I'll give Philly. Yeah, Philly. You can put Philly in that list too.
Conservatively 3.5
for home.
Yeah.
In a modern NFL, probably not. You got 3. Maybe you get all the way to 3, 2.5, 3.
3. We'll call it 3. So then what? Baltimore's 4.5 points better in a neutral.
Yeah, no, that's obviously not. It is what they're saying. I think there is some funny business around, when you get this close to 0, it's maybe not quite as I think the more likely neutral number is probably 3.5 or 4, but yeah, most people have the Bills as the top power rated team in the league. or I'm sorry, the Ravens, and the Bills are number 2. So this is
but
the
the
Super
Bills
Bowl.
are at home.
This is the Super Bowl.
And unfortunately for Bills fans, could be like they could win this awesome game, and then that's I don't know. They could be in trouble. So kind of chalky for us this week, Ryan. But it does feel like that's how the divisional round goes. But normally the wild card, Robot Glock saying isn't 2.5 default home field these days. Yeah, I would say so.
Even less.
I think most teams are probably at 1.5 or 2 all the way down there. The default 3 is totally gone. I would just say I do grade Buffalo's home field better than other places, and it being the playoffs, I do think it matters more than the regular season.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, lock, dog, tease, and bonus lock.
Real quick, I do have the hypothetical odds for next week.
Okay.
Conference championship.
Commanders at Eagles.
Well, what do you think that number is?
7.5.
6. Eagles laying 6, which I would bet that immediately. But no, I was going to ask you Lions Eagles in Detroit.
Lions
what do you
Eagles.
what do you think they made it?
Eagles +3.
Yeah. Close to 2.5. It's juiced. What do you think about what about Chiefs and Bills?
This one's tough because I don't think they couldn't make Mahomes a dog, but the market it would be like Chiefs 1.5.
Chiefs -2.5. Chiefs would be 1.5 against the Ravens.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Interesting. Either way,
and they don't have the. What about Texans? Something.
Texans Bills would be 8.5. Texans Ravens would be 9.5.
NFL doesn't want to see that. AKA, they're not getting any calls.
They're gonna put that one down.
All right, Kramer. Are we doing a full lock, dog, tease, bonus lock?
Well, why wouldn't we?
All right, let's go. What do you got?
Unless you feel uncomfortable with doing extra locks. Well, lock number 1, Philly, like I told you.
Okay.
Lock number 2, I like both of these, but Kansas City strikes me as mega blowout potential. If I could have a third lock, it would be the Lions. Dog, I'll make the Bills. Sean.
Now it is +100.
That's good enough for me.
All right.
Tease. Oh boy. I guess I go Lions -3, Chiefs -2, Bills +7.5, like the rest of the world.
Lions -3, Bills.
Actually, you know what? Get the Bills out of there.
Okay.
Make it the Eagles.
Eagles down to a pick.
I don't need any that the Buffalo Baltimore game is the toughest game to pick. So obviously the point spread's close. I'm saying a lot of obvious shit here.
Well, I mean, so yes, I'm also locking. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles. Our offensive line, defensive line, too good for the LA Rams. And
copying me this week. Nice.
Yeah. I like to tail hot cappers like yourself, Ryan.
Oh wow. Me and Taylor Mathis, huh?
Yeah, get some walking bets
Both
going. Maybe I'll bring stalking bets back for the playoffs. For me, the angle I like the most is these dome teams outdoors in the playoffs against teams that I'm already going to be on. Obviously, Bills are the money line play at +100. Tease, I will take the Bills up to 7.5, and then I will take the Eagles to a pick, and I'll take the take Chiefs -2. So almost exactly the same this week, Ryan. But there's only a 4-game slate.
Oh,
so.
I got everyone right last week. So
Yeah,
smart
let's go.
Smart to copy. So hopefully you didn't mush everything.
Yeah, no, I didn't push. I didn't mush anything. So,
I mean, I locked up the Eagles by myself last week. So
Robert Glock saying Eagles rather play Lions than Redskins. Doesn't matter. I keep calling him Robert. His YouTube name is Robot Glock,
and he's got a picture.
Anytime, any place. I would love the opportunity to knock off the Lions, but taking it one game at a time. We got to beat the Rams.
Yeah, that's smart.
Redskins would be fun because they would have the game at home, but we're not scared. Kramer, what are you doing there?
Just reading a little bit.
Okay, clearing your head.
Yeah.
Well, when
Chapter 2, crawl like a man.
When you're as successful as AJ Brown, whatever it takes to get your mind right, Ryan. Appreciate that.
and I found a schedule grid from 2022.
Well, you act like Man in the Box isn't reading every time we have him on the props show, right? With all his,
What do you mean?
He may as well have one of those AJ Brown type books over there.
Yeah, and if AJ Brown was a artiste,
yes,
crafting up fabulous one-liners and ladders,
he is.
No, he's not. He's copying other people and making the Joker his avatar.
All right. Thank you, everyone, as always, for tuning into the podcast.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
And of course, tune in to the pregame show. We got the prop show tomorrow, VSiN show Friday night, and maybe even a bonus podcast with the former NFLer. Stay tuned. With some wheels are in motion. And of course, Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green. He's Ryan.
Best of luck this weekend, Sean.
Kramer, let it ride.